holding them up like this is just making me realize how many books I actually buy. And it's making me feel a lot of waste. Hi guys, it's me with another book haul. Because I figured I have bought so many books the last couple of weeks, months, that I haven't shown you. So why don't we do a simple book haul and just call it a day, right? I have my dogs with me here, so if you hear some noise, it's probably them. They were driving me crazy when they were in the other room, so we're trying it with them being here. Hello. Oh, you good boy. Mwah. 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 I placed you on top of their treats, by the way. If you hear some sniffing noises, probably you smell very tasty to them. Okay, I would say we just start and I will gather all the books I bought right here next to me, so you will see my pile of books in a second. Oh my god, it's not even standing up on its own. I don't know if you can see this pile. I can't even. I have a problem. Please don't touch. That's a good chunk of the books I bought and haven't read. Okay, there's one book in here I have read. But yeah, I think these are the most recent purchases. And we can go through them if you would like to see what all of these books are. Let me put them down again and then we will go through them one by one. Or should I just hold them and then take one by one? I think that could be funny. So first thing is Goethe's Faust, part 1 and 2. I wanted to have a very nice copy of it. I actually read it in school. I can't reach it right now, but my copy is just an ugly... I can't hold all the books like this. Wait a second, please. Yep, they all fell down. Also okay, we just work with this pile right there. Where was I? Faust. I can show you. My original copy of it looks like this. Very ugly. Little paper bag. I carried it in my school bag, so it has a lot of things. It has still my interpretation and my markings in there. Kind of nice, but it's only the first part. And I actually really liked it, although it's difficult to read. If you're not familiar with Faust, he's just a guy who's not satisfied with his life, if I remember correctly, and then he makes a deal with the devil, which is Mephisto, and there's a whole drama with this girl called Gretchen, and or Gretchen, if you would call her in English, I guess, and it's all written in prose, is this the right word? Everything rhymes, so it's sometimes a little difficult to grasp the understanding because you get into this mood to, like, you know, you start like singing it a little bit and then you forget what you're reading. But I actually really liked the story. It was quite cool to read. So I wanted a pretty copy, which also includes the second part of it. And let's see when I am in the mood to read some literature like this. But if the day comes, very happy to do so. Continuing with the book I have already read, and it's the only one of all of them I have read already. It's the Song of Achilles. TikTok and Booktube influenced me to read this book. If you want you probably know what it's about. It's a retelling of the story of Achilles from the Greek mythology. written out of the perspective of Patroclus. I was disappointed. To me, it didn't catch me as it caught other people. I didn't cry. I didn't cry once, and I'm normally a crier, so yeah, it was a little disappointing to me, but a lot of good quotes. Although if you are into Greek mythology, read it, but don't expect too much, because it was so hyped on social media. I think it's easy to overestimate the impact this book will have on you. Continuing with Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I always wanted to read Little Women. I bought this book and then realized I bought the wrong edition. I think I just have the Christmas part of the story. I don't have the whole story, but just a part of it, which makes me very sad because I wanted to have the whole story. I have never read it, but I watched the movie with Timothée Chalamet. I'm a huge Timothée fan, by the way. And I loved it. It's one of my favorite movies now. And I desperately want to read Little Women, but not only a part of it, so maybe I should get another copy. And I'm not explaining you what this book is about. If you want to know what it's about, watch the movie. It's great. Let's continue with a German book I bought, and it's called Algorithmica by Marion Herzog. I don't actually know if there's an English version of this book available yet. It's a sci-fi novel. I'm normally not a huge sci-fi fan. I'm very much into fantasy, and you should all know this by now, but sci-fi, sometimes it's just too much for me. And I initially bought this book to be a Christmas present to someone, but I ended up giving this person a different book, so I'm stuck with it now. I might as well read it. How should I explain the plot? It is the future, and living on the surface of the earth, so above the ground, is not possible anymore. So they are living in the underground. They are able to enter virtual worlds, virtual realities kind of, to experience life there. And there are different kinds of it. And yeah, apparently they discover something. Oh no, then the electricity goes off. That's the main plot of the book. The electricity goes off, and it's getting very dangerous. The concept sounds quite cool. I don't know how well it will be executed, and I don't know if it's a book for me necessarily, but stepping out of your comfort zone can always be a good idea, so I guess I should give it a try this year. But it's also quite a thick book, so I don't know if I will be in the mood to read such a thick book that's not really in my comfort zone, but let's hope for the best for Jenny this year. Continuing with My Policeman, the movie that is going to be a book with Harry Styles as the main character. Also, as Timothée Chalamet, I love Harry Styles. So I should read this book before I watch the movie. I don't actually know when it's coming out. Probably really soon. And it's this book is a love story about a love that is forbidden. It's two men falling in love in the 50s, which is not accepted by society at all. So the main character decides to marry a woman instead, and it turns into this weird love triangle, which is not good for anyone, and I am very excited to read about this story and to watch the movie with Harry Styles. Then I bought a classic, The Perks of Being a Wallflower, a coming-of-age story of someone who's very shy and introverted, but kind of realizes that that's not how he can live his life anymore, and that life is not about watching other people living, but to live yourself, which is kind of cute because I think I have been reflecting about my own teenage years a lot recently, and I've started picking up a lot of hobbies I had as a teenager, reading, for example, as well as ballet, which I kind of lost while becoming an adult, and now I'm finding my way back into it, so I think it's quite a fitting time for me to read the story and reflect on my own teenage years a little more. So I'm very excited about this purchase. Then, of course, as a Leigh Bardugo stan, I had to buy Ninth House. I'm thinking about waiting to read this book because I just saw that she released the cover for the second book, for the sequel, which will come out next year, if I saw it correctly. So maybe it's worth waiting a little, also to read it in like more of a fall season, because Dark Academia screams fall to me somehow. It's the typical Dark Academia story. I don't actually know what it's about. I don't want to know more about it. I just know that it's really hyped, and I don't want to get too much input because I'm afraid that the same thing that happened with the Song of Achilles to me will happen to this book as well. That I have too much input, that I have too many opinions of people loving this book and then me being disappointed in the end. I don't want this to happen, so I'm not going to tell you anything more. I'm just telling you that I will read it this year for sure. If not now, then in the fall season. If we are within the topic of Dark Academia, I also bought Bunny by Mona Awad. Also a very hyped TikTok book that I have really high expectations reading this story. I also saw that the book Leo just read it and she really liked it, so I'm normally trusting her with with book recommendations. You will see actually a lot of books she has recommended. Are there? There's definitely one book she recommended in one of her last videos and I immediately bought it, so call me a fan if you want to. It's about this group of girls in university, I think. And they call themselves Bunny. That's just the name for each other. And it's also Dark Academia. There are a lot of things happening. I heard that you will read this book and just the whole time think to yourself, what the fuck am I reading? And I typically really like these kind of books, so I'm very excited for it. Next comes a book that's so much out of my comfort zone that I don't even know how to explain to you why this is in my book collection. But I bought The Shining by Stephen King. Me. A horror story. Me. I hate everything about it. So you may think to yourself, Jenny, why did you buy this book? It's not anything you would want to read. Well, I was in a phase last year, the last half of last year, where I rewatched Friends 3 times in a row. All 10 seasons. I went through some shit during this time, but I had the idea to make a video of reading the characters' favorite books, which would be Little Women, which is also kind of a reason I bought this copy and then realized that it's the wrong one, for Rachel, and The Shining for Joey, because it's his favorite book. And I bought this book to read it because it was Joey's favorite book. And I then just, I don't know, doing this video I never realized it because I was not in the mood to read these stories. I didn't find out what the other characters' favorite books were, and I just didn't want to do just 2 books. So if you still would like to see this video, I am happy to do so. I will just need to read The Shining, and I don't know if my brain can handle that. But I will try if you want to see it. Let's continue then. I have 2 books that the Book Leo recommended in her last video. Look, I can show you both of them. It's Girls with Sharp Sticks and The Library of the Unwritten. The Library of the Unwritten, as the title already says, describes a part of... There's a library in hell that consists of all the unfinished books and unfinished characters that are just walking around there, making everything strange. I don't know more. Kind of a cool concept. The devil has to take care of it. I didn't know that the devil has to take care of a library with unfinished characters that are just creating a mess. But I don't know, it sounds kind of fun. But honestly also sounds like a book for fall. So maybe we put that to the fall pile. And Girls with Sharp Sticks is, I think, one of the first kind of feminism books that's not, and I think this will be feminism right in my comfort zone, because I don't really like to read nonfiction, and that's fiction. It's a story somebody has come up with but tries to put in some aspects of feminism. It's just about a school that will teach girls how to be a perfect little girl, walking around, doing girl things like this, and of the girls living there just kind of realizing that there's a world outside of the school and that they don't necessarily have to be the way the teachers are teaching them to be, which sounds very cool, and I'm very excited to read it. Continuing with Aristotle and Dante discover the secrets of the universe. I also was influenced by social media with buying this book. Everyone was saying that it's a beautiful story about friendship and that it will be a modern classic someday, and that it will be a book that will be handled in school as kind of school literature. And honestly, I just was hooked. I like beautiful friendship stories. I like coming of age stories. I like books that are not necessarily meant for people my age. So I think I can really enjoy it. But I have had it here for a long time now, but I was just never in the mood to read it. So maybe this year will be the year. Then my mom and I went to the bookstore and I picked out a Kazuo Ishiguro book. It's Was vom Tage übrig blieb. Let me quickly check the English title. Okay, it's The Remains of the Day. It's portraying the story, the life story of a butler, and really focuses on hierarchy, different standards of living and things like this. And I'm quite excited to read it. I just was not in the mood for such literature, so I haven't picked it up yet, but I'm very excited to be reading it sometime this year. Then I have a book that I honestly sometimes, this really shows I have a problem, okay? I was at a train station, walking around. I was too early for my course I had that day, so I just saw a bookstore, went in, saw some books that were on sale, picked up the most interesting books of the books on sale. Without any context, without me needing a book, without me wanting to ever read this book, maybe. It's by Kai Meyer and it's called Der Pakt der Bücher. Honestly don't know if there's an English version for this. Honestly don't even remember what the context of this book is. Give me a second, please. It's just mystery concerning books and a vintage bookstore. Honestly, I'm just confused and I don't know if I will ever read it, but I have it in my collection now. What can we do? Then I bought We Hunt the Flame and We Free the Stars. Maybe you can see, because I have marked it with a book sign, that I have already started to read this book and then stopped. Because I just couldn't get into it. No. It's about a girl, her name is Zafira, and she is a hunter, but women are not allowed to be hunting. They need to hunt to have food, basically, but women are not allowed to do so. If you're a woman and you want to hunt, So she disguises herself as a man and goes hunting, and she's very successful. She's the best hunter her village has. But nobody knows it's her, of course, because if they would know, it would not be good. And the other perspective it's written out of, he's a prince, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah. And he's an assassin who has to kill people. and they kind of find their way together. There will be an adventure they have to do together. That's all I know. I was very hooked. But honestly, I was confused because it's the story is set, of course, in a fictional world. It takes a lot of inspiration by like the Arabic parts of our world. So there are a lot of Arabic words also in this book. And sometimes I was confused because that's the problem when you read a fantasy book that not in your native language. It's like, do I just don't know this word because that's a word the author just created and gave to describe a fantasy thing? Or is it just a word in another language that I don't know? And with this book, the addition of, is this just an Arabic thing that I don't know, came into it. So I was a little confused, and I was just, the beginning of the story just didn't seem very interesting to me, so I decided to not read it anymore and read something else, which doesn't mean that I don't want to pick it up again. I mean, I have both books in my collection now, and I've heard that the second one should be better than the first one, so maybe I have to suffer my way through it a little more to really get into it and to understand more about the world building, and then I will enjoy it, maybe. But hopefully there will be a time where I want to pick these up again, because I really would like to like them, you know? I just didn't the first time I tried. And that leaves us with the last two books I want to show you today. I think this video is already so long. So I went to the bookstore again a few days ago, and I picked up 3 books actually, but one was a present for my mom. I bought her Less as a German book because it was one of the favorite books I read last year, and I want her to enjoy it as well, and it was on sale, so I took it for her. But for myself, I'm just a sucker for Greek mythology. You may have noticed it in my last video, but it's just, I love it. I love it so much. I saw Ariadne. I had to pick it up. I think I will love it. The cover is just beautiful. Beautiful. And it's basically the story of Ariadne and the labyrinth, the Minotaur. If you know a little bit about Greek mythology, you should have a few ideas in your mind. If you're into this kind of stuff, I hope we will all appreciate this story, this retelling. And the last book I picked up is something I would normally not pick up, but it's The Diary of a Bookseller. And honestly, it took my attention because of its cover. It was in the store. I saw it like this with the spine, and I was like, oh, that looks like a cool design. I picked it up and I was like, oh, that even looks cooler. What is this book about? And it's just, it really is a diary. You can see it has diary entries of a person owning a bookstore, a vintage bookstore, and it's just diary entries about the different customers, about the different parts of books, of attending vintage book fairs, some book recommendations as well, and just, I don't know, it sounded kind of cool and like something different, and I enjoyed the diary style of Piranesi when I read it, so I was thinking of giving this book a try, and I also haven't heard of it yet, I think. Which is always nice, because I am reading so many books that I hear from people on social media a lot, so that my expectations are really high, as I already talked about in this video a lot. But if it is liked by so many other people, I have so hard, my expectations are just so high, and a lot of the times I don't enjoy the book as much as other people do, and then it makes me sad, because I think, okay, either something is wrong with me, or I don't know what the problem is. So I kind of like picking books up sometimes that are not, that are not that hyped, and that I can enjoy for myself before without having like all this input from everywhere else. But yeah, I think those were more than enough books I've shown you right now. My bookshelf looks like a mess because I took them out of here so I can show you. And now it looks crazy and I have to put them all back in, but that's not your issue, it's mine. I hope you enjoyed this video. Maybe you got some inspiration for books you want to read this year. Maybe you're just making fun of me because I buy so many books and don't read as much and that I should read more if I want to keep buying that many books, which I will do, I promise you. I'm now finishing this video and then I will do something for university and then I will read my books. I'm reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, by the way, at the moment. Also a book I bought recently and I'm really enjoying, so that's also a recommendation from me. And I hope you have a great rest of the week or the day or whatever you're having right now. And I would really like to welcome you to my channel if this was the first video you watched of me, and would be very glad if you would stay and watch my other videos as well. Yeah, so have a great time until I see you next time, and bye!